IMHO Talk Show. IMHO Talk Show. Sir Charles.
It's Max.
Raisin.
Good people. We are here. Thank y'all for sticking with us, tuning in, and all that good stuff. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties, but now we have on the phone line none other than Eugene Cash, my friend, my good brother of the Counseling Alliances of Virginia. Mr. Cash, thank you for joining us once again this afternoon.
Yeah, I think I want to shift gears, Gene, because I want to hear your professional perspective. This murder-suicide that recently took place involving Justin and Serena Fairfax. It's a difficult, horrible, horrific situation, no matter who it involves. But these two people happen to be people of color, a family of color. And so it's deeply saddening. And truth be told, obviously, loss of life takes precedence, top priority, and that's what we mourn. But in thinking about that situation, one of the things that does come to mind as a person of color is the fact that this happened within a black family, and the narrative that will be spun, inevitably will be spun by individuals who don't look like them, discrediting the person, the achievements, the accomplishments, expectations, stereotypes that are placed on black people, whether it be legitimate or illegitimate. But Gene, I know we think about this in layers, but that is not, my comments are not to let him off the hook.
Right.
Despite, but as a mom, it's like, were you wrong? Like you stole both parents from these babies who didn't deserve that. I don't care what you was going through. Like could you have ever loved them the way that you said that you loved them by doing something like that to them?
Yeah. And traumatized them, right?
That part just rips my heart out, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Gene, to piggyback off of that too, we of course, first and foremost, thinking about the well-being of the children, continuing their lives, the son that found his mother, those type of things. But then also what crossed my mind, though, is that, like generally speaking, these aren't the type of crimes that you generally hear about black people. Right? If I'm just being honest, and Gene, maybe your data is going to show different, but from my knowledge,
times have changed.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I know times have changed some as well. But I'm just speaking in general. This isn't like the first thing you think. Oh, that was a black family. You know what I'm saying? I think there's truth in that. But Gene, I want to hear your professional opinion on that. Being a black man, right, to make that choice, and we can just sort of give an umbrella statement like white supremacy, right? But like dig a little deeper, like into the stresses that must have been in that black household and family that by all accounts, from the outside, was like they were successful couple, but this still was the demise, right? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen anything like that.
One thing I want to talk about, Gene, like his demise was planned once they started seeing the trajectory that he was following that was like Obama. So at that point, I was like, man, he got to watch his back. But he had lost his career because they had blamed him for a sexual assault that he was going through with the lady. Now, I don't know whether that means that he raped her or extortion or whatever it was. But then he, his marriage fell apart, and then she had the court system removing him from the house. Then he had to pay the $1,875 by the 25th, the day that he took the lady's life and whatnot. So when you started talking about the trauma and the pressure that he was under, how much of that was self-inflicted because of his choices and decisions?
When I say
to piggyback on that too, so we're not as far off in our thinking about the situation as you may have thought, Razor, because at a certain point it's just like, at what point does it become mental health? Is it a question of serious mental health, a mental illness, and just people not being able to cope with
Right.
life.
Thank you, Max.
Some people kill us. No. That I can tell you. That's where I disagree with not saying this. Like, we tend to umbrella everything is mental health, and that kills me because I've been around the people that have committed horrendous crimes, and some people know their job. No. It ain't a mental issue. That person is just a killer. So you put me in a position to where when you choose me to choose between losing everything that I have, family, my reputation, now you're going to kick me out and you're going to live off of what I did. I've been around this joke. I told Max, I know of at least, and I hate to say this, I know of at least 8 guys that have taken women's lives in bad situations because for whatever reason. But I was around a lot more guys when I was in prison that those were just killers. Yeah. They just needed a reason to be able to let loose what was there.
Yeah, so to be clear,
that ain't mental health.
Yes. So to be clear, that's what Max was saying, though, is that sometimes we say it's mental health, but really it's bad choice. That's exactly what she was saying.
Yo, no, I ain't even talking about bad choice. Like, they are, like, you push some, you go by the yard and you keep hitting on the fence and beating that dog, and eventually he get loose. He gonna bite you for what you did. That guy, because if you look at his interviews, how the way that he checked people, like we wanted to call it, oh, he's a strong black man, he's doing this, he checking the media when they say something to him, right? He just reacted the same way. He just chose to have a pistol in his hand, and he took it out on his wife, who he felt, you don't have the right to put me out my house or make me pay money. I can tell you what was going through that guy's head because I've seen it happen with other people before.
And for point of clarity, if I'm not mistaken, I think they said that he stabbed her and shot himself. So we can look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's what the report was. Just for clarity. But Gene, to all of those points though, like when you approach your work sort of scientifically, right? Like, do you find that people are just sort of born away, right? Like, whether you want to say, like, I don't know if you want to call it a chemical imbalance or what it is, like, but that's just who they are by nature. Or does that still ultimately come to they have a mental health issue? Or is there a difference professionally?
I think there's always some type of mental health issue when it comes to deviance. And you can call it antisocial personality disorder. Some people are just prone to not have thoughts, values about other people's lives. I also want to say that I really, really raise it when you talk about those people in prison. I work with those people too, in some ways, especially with the adolescents. And even when those adolescents went into the adult penitentiary, I believe they came from somewhere, and I cannot void or believe that they did not come in contact with any type of post-traumatic stress disorder, and let alone post-traumatic slave syndrome. I have to believe, because we are all built with some type of humanity. The only caveat when working with sex offenders, for as long as I have, there is some type of etiology where sometimes there's not trauma, and that it is sometimes they do tend to engage in these assaultive and hurtful behaviors that are totally deviant. So, Razor, I'm not saying that. But I haven't seen many of those in my 30-something years of doing this work.
Yeah.
Even the ones in prison, they all, majority, especially African-American, they had some type of trauma because that's how they were born. And genetically, intergenerational, and it was in us. It was in us. And I know what you mean by stone-cold killers. Yes, but they came from somewhere.
But no.
And we can never lose sight of that. And even with this young man who did this behavior, I'm trying to tell you, I really want to, I put a lot on it, man, saying that he was going through so much.
Oh, no
doubt. At some point in time, he disconnected.
No doubt. But I think people are more, the last thing, Max, now I ain't going to talk no more. The last thing I think people are more natural killers. And then because we're supposed to be humanity is why they tailor themselves. That's why when they get upset, they want to go to that level. They want to let what's in them out. That's why they hit people over the head. That's why they stab people. That's why they do all these things. Because We are animals, even though we walk on 2 feet.
Yeah, survival of the fittest. It's sort of natural.
So people are
survival.
natural killers. It's just because they're not supposed to is why it doesn't happen. Because when the anger comes, what do you want to do? You want to harm that person. It becomes, what do they say when they go to court? I wasn't even thinking. It just naturally happened because that's who you are as a person. A tiger is not vicious. A tiger is a tiger. Like you said, Chris Rock said. Yeah. I think human nature is the exact same way. And when you put everybody in prison, like you talk about the people that you work with in your 30 years, I was around more people than you worked around in a month than you've dealt with on that, because I had to sleep next to these jokers, right? And the only thing some of them understood was this is stream, right? This ain't live. Okay. The only thing that some of them understood was that you will take their life, like point blank.
But Razor, you were walking in trauma. You were living trauma. So your worldview and your world perspective was created and developed through that lens. So when you take your lens of what you went through, that's complex PTSD and trauma.
Hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you,
Gene. Put that out there like that's the world? That's not the world.
Gene, I don't think, let's go back to me part. I don't think that I was operating in trauma. I am going to be honest. I'm one of those people you don't want to play with if I tell you, go ahead. Like I'm gonna be honest with the risk of, like, I ain't gonna put myself, because I don't know the statute of limitation on certain things, but at a certain point I will tell you, do not play with me. If I give you that command, you are dealing with a different individual at that point in time. You can be a pastor.
And all I want to know is, where did that come from?
It came from my genetics. My uncle was like that. My daddy was like that. Like, I'm just telling you. Like, it just, some things is what it is.
What you're telling me, it came from somewhere.
My bloodline.
Yes, and what happened in your bloodline?
They just was made that way. Like, I
don't believe that. I don't believe that, Razor.
Okay, so a bird and a hawk has trauma because he kills things and don't pluck up worms, right? That's what I hear you saying.
I hear what you're saying as far as that's how you guys were designed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were designed that way, my brother.
My brother, I can tell you.
I think you may have been created to be that way. And the soul that I walk with today, if that was true, it wouldn't be what I see.
I understand that, but if me and you live in Richmond, right?
Yeah.
All right, so if we walk in a certain part of Richmond and somebody act a fool, I can promise you, even though you twice my size, get behind me.
Understand? I'm not saying we don't have it. I like both sides of me, Razor. I like both sides of me. I like the one that grew and became a healthier person versus one who was violent. Right?
Yeah.
Because I have a history of being not like you. I didn't go to prison. However, but I grew up in trauma. I grew up in violence in some ways. Right?
I didn't.
Maybe not as bad as you.
No.
Not
didn't.
As horrible as you.
I slept on a water bed since I was 11 years old.
Even when you said, "Get behind me," that's your soul, brother. That's your soul.
Yeah.
You didn't say, "I'm gonna go ahead, Gene, you on your own."
Oh no. I ain't gonna never say that.
No. All I'm saying is your trauma impacts your worldview.
Yeah.
And I just say I don't want you to put that worldview because that's not mine.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's not my worldview. And I want to believe in humanity that people aren't born that way. I really believe that the world and the environment creates that.
Other thing I want to bring up before we go is that what this horrible incident I feel like has pushed the conversation of is, and possibly just because of this man's accomplishments alone, is the fact of the question of when is it mental health, like when is it something that a pill or therapy is needed, and when is it a decision based on just not being able to deal or cope with the issues of life. And I'll be honest with you, what's strange about this is that I do some part-time work with a group where I regularly see individuals who, surface level, might look like they're dealing with some type of mental health issue, but I've asked myself in observing them how much of this really is the pressures of life that got away from them and they just could never pull back from it. and then we got this issue here with the Fairfaxes. But it's it's a worthy conversation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Max, one of the things I learned around murder suicide, is that people are looking for relief. People are looking for a way out, and the people who have suicided in my care or my watch, I will have a whole conversation with them, and they won't even tell me that it's going to happen, right? But they're just looking for relief. So whatever happened with this young man's mental health, it gets to the point where it's unbearable, and sometimes, I'm not speaking for all, that they don't see another way out. And other times, people who have made it through suicide, who did not really complete it, they got through the middle of it and like, oh God, this is not what I want.
It is so hard to reconcile that, because Razor and I have children, married, have children in common, and I'm short of actually causing bodily harm to one of my kids. I ain't thinking about that. I just feel like in certain situations, your kids are, come first, despite what you're going through. And I'm not thinking about that, short of somebody causing serious bodily harm to one of my kids. So it's really hard for me to understand. I guess that's the maternal nature and, different people, so different thought processes. Next one I want to say, I want to come in person, okay? We can't do the phone thing. But I'll be there, hopefully, if you guys allow me to come. But Max, what I'm saying is we're trying to decipher or to debrief this horrible incident and taking all the complexities of it, because we all, because it hits our souls so in so many different ways, from so many different, your background, my background, Razor's background, Charles's background, and we're bringing those all together to try to make sense of such a horrendous act, right? And to make sense in our own mind, like, how does it impact us as humans?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm trying to make sense or not.
You are. Yeah, you are. So let me say, I've met the brother before, Justin Fairfax. And when we think about, Gene, your event, right, this week, April 23rd, where you're talking about understanding racial trauma and promoting transformative change. It's like I think about like I had nothing but positive and good interactions with Justin, but at the same time, it's like I think about the trauma that he was dealing with on a regular basis of the facade. Like, I've been asked to run for public office. I won't do it because I ain't with the fakery. You know what I mean? And so we think about the pressures of keeping the image, living up to that. And then we think about all of us as, couples and families and the stresses that we deal with that. End of the day, he punked out, right? Like, if I'm going to be a black man, I'm talking, honestly, pressures of the world got to him, and we didn't even, and I kind of feel like we, as, the whole, the proverbial we takes a little blame, because his behavior was called out before. But because he was a young up-and-coming black man, we gave him an excuse.
Yep.
But his behavior has been questioned before. We even saw that the local principalities failed his wife. He should not have been in there. It should have been a restraining order. Like, they should have been separate for so long. Yep, but Virginia state laws kept Serena in an unhealthy household and in a dangerous household. Virginia state laws did that part. But again, him being a black man and up and coming young, everybody, polishing him and all that is like, that didn't do him any justice either. Yeah. Like, he wasn't himself.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
Agreed. We'll agree with you 100%, Charles. Agreed.
But yeah.
This the one thing that I'm trying to, for lack of a better way of putting it, make myself understand, not make myself believe. I used to say make myself believe. Make myself understand is when everybody that I saw online was talking about how he. Even I think Max just said it, how he didn't love the kids, how he viewed because he took the mom away, right? So I was trying to, well, I mean, of course, even if he went to jail, he was already taken away from his kids because of the court system saying, look, hey, stay away from the house. Like, go. So then I tried to figure out, like, okay, when did he start snapping, so to speak? You know, like, because I refuse to believe that he just got there and the things erupted and he just did that, right? Because I've seen...
So violence against women was documented as of 2019,
that's
for
what
sure.
I'm saying.
He
like
had a charge against him. Yeah.
He started, or even the way he responded to the reporters, the way he carried himself. All you had to do was look at the demeanor of his face when he was talking to people to understand that, like, this is a situation. So then I was like, okay, the kids may have always been, I got a boy, I got a girl. It looks good in the public eye. Like, he may have never truly felt for the kids. When they went horseback riding, he did some crazy stuff, right? So I was wondering, when I heard y'all, like, he never loved the kids. And I was like, that may be very true. He never loved the kids, because the white picket fence is a son and a daughter and a wife and a career, right?
Yep.
So they may have always been part of the picture.
Yep. You got to
You
win
know
an
what I'm
election.
saying?
You need an image to win elections.
Right.
I mean, I
So
also
that
do
made me
believe
think of
that
that.
you can love someone and still not treat them with love. I just it's hard as a mom to wrap my head around, you know, taking yourself and the other parent away from your kids, the people you created, brought into this world, who at some point you have to acknowledge needed your, you know, love, protection, provision, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can take that. That's selfish. You can take that from them. In the manner that you did.
Yeah, the thing, Gene, let me say this. I saw like 4 cases where the guy, the what do y'all call it, murder-suicide?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yep.
The murder-suicide, because, now this is going to sound crazy to the listeners, but I saw where the guy loved the kids and he killed them along with him and the wife because he didn't want to leave them. Now, that's absolutely crazy to me, right?
Right, yeah.
But
you know, the mind to justify some stuff.
When people like told what they had said and what they tried to talk the people out of and all this kind of crazy stuff, it was that they didn't want the world to do whatever they were going to do to the kids, so they took them with them.
Yeah, a lot of religious people. There's been stories about a lot of religious people that's done that. And Gene, have you seen? Ever seen anything like that? Like, how would you deal with that, Gene? Because you have some people, their religious beliefs, right? Like, make them say, well, if I get my kids out of this evil world, they'll be better. Right. My kids will go to heaven.
Yeah. I know of 4 cases where I saw that. One from Orange County. Yep.
Gene?
Yeah, I'm with you, buddy. I'm with all of you. And yes. When I think about murder-suicide and the loss of hope in people's souls and their minds, they will do whatever it is to make sense to them. So, and yes, there's cults, the religious fundamentalists. I've seen those too as well. What we're talking about is the mind. When the mind takes over and starts having unhealthy thoughts, deviant thoughts, and if they don't get treatment, support, or help, those thoughts will continue to persist. And a lot of times those people are in denial, or they feel like they got it and they don't want the help. And they only see one course of action, right, is to take their life and someone else's. So I don't know what the true question is in this, that I think I just want to say it's so many different ways in which people deal with their pain.
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's hard for me to talk because it's like, I'm not in. I'm more into both and it happens across all races.
How do you intervene when you see something taking place? And because that is something that we have trouble with in our community in today's time, is getting in other people's business because we don't want them to turn on us. So how do you intervene when you potentially see something like this, especially with a powerful individual?
Or you're going through it. Like let's be totally honest. Or you're going through it, because we all have had those stresses, those family stresses. Whether you face with divorce and you're like, she gonna take everything, or she gonna take my kids, or and of course none of that justifies his action. But to raise a point, but to raise a point, what kind of help do you need, or how do you intervene if you see it?
Yeah.
I think the most struggling is, I think we have to get next to people. We have to have, hopefully somebody you have a close friend, somebody they're connected to, that can see them and encourage them, and you don't give up. You just, if you ask and you put your hand out there and they ignore you or don't take it, if you're in that position or you have that wherewithal, that strength, you keep reaching. And, that's my job. I reach when people are in pain, and I keep encouraging them, but sometimes they walk away from that support. But when you see it, you reach out, you talk about it, name it. But our belief is that ain't none of our business, so we walk away, right? So, and we want to protect ourselves from that. That's not my problem. But if you're close to that person, you continue to reach and encourage them to get counseling and get mental health support.
Should you go to the police?
Into a residential program, check themselves, get a psychiatrist, get something on board to help them deal with their mental health.
And for those individuals who are contemplating things like this, they have to understand, because this will be streamed on the air at some point or another, online. You always have a choice.
Absolutely.
It may not feel like it, but you always have a choice. There is always a choice.
Yep.
Always.
Do you go to the police? Because, talking about snitching in the black community has ruined us, right? For people not understanding the difference between snitching and intervening. Like snitching is I'm trying to get myself out of something that I did that I agreed to do. Right. That's snitching.
Right.
But intervening, or if I didn't have something to do with it, why should I have to take the blame just because I know you or I'm standing over here? Like, we've messed it up. So when it comes to a situation like this, how do you know when to go to the police to say what you see? It might not be for the husband and wife. It might be for something that you see on the kids. Can you go to the police in a situation like this?
I think when I get stuck, I will have to turn to the police. But however, I am concerned when I have to reach out to the police, especially with black families and brown families, how the system will respond, even when I have to make CPS reporting calls, because the racist anti-vax groups that sit in those systems is difficult. I appreciate the violence interrupters, the people who are trying to intervene before we call the police. So that's another resource that we can always reach out to. The HEART team, I know, is in Albemarle County, and I think the city has another team as well. Those are another intermediary step before you start calling the police. But when it comes to risk and violence and harm, I will default to the police. Whenever there's anything that's situationally would be a problem, I'd rather have somebody out there trying than allowing it just to happen.
And Gene Cash, good brother, thank you as always. So, racial sensitivity training, right? RACE, R.A.A.C.E, Radical Alliance for Anti-Racism, Change and Equity. Understanding racial trauma, promoting transformative change, which combats the undertow of white supremacist ideology. Facilitated by none other than Gene Cash, CEO, Executive Director of Counseling Alliance of Virginia. This is April 23rd this week, 6:30 to 8:30 in room ALC 3100. And y'all can go on our website. Look in the comments section for the flyer and QR code and link for more info. And Gene, this is at VCU?
Yes, at VCU.
Okay. All right, room ALC 3100. All right, good. All right, good brother. If there's nothing else, we're going to sign off. You good to go? Any final word?
Just appreciate you guys and how you're trying to continue to help this community deal with racial trauma and understanding what's happening with all these complex issues. Appreciate you. Love you guys. And I definitely want to come back in to follow up on this.
Likewise. Thank you, Gene.
Yep, thank you.
All right, brother. Blessings.
Okay. Bye-bye.